Yo, Vapor Central, man, how you guys doing tonight? Let me hear ya. All right, you guys sound like a fun bunch. You guys ready to smoke a bunch of weed? Give it up for your host with the most drinking hemorrhoids, Hunter Collins. It's Third Class Thursdays. Come on! Hey, guys. Thanks for coming out to Third Class Thursdays. I am your host, Hunter Collins. Good to be here, yakking it up with you crazy assholes. Is it okay if I called you assholes right out of the gate? You know I mean that in a cool way, you know? Here's what I mean. Really fun show. Got some fun audio-visual shit going on tonight. It's going to be a real party. You down? You ready? This guy's looking at me and chewing. You know what that means? You're like the fucking hardest G. If you look at a stare at a man and chew. I was in jail one time in my life. And that's what I did. Like, there was like all these giant fucking dudes in there that had like arms like Rosie O'Donnell's legs, just like big fucking guys. And I'd never been on the inside before, so I just leaned back against the bars and fake chewed to look tough. Just, and that's not tough at all. Yeah, I've been doing some traveling myself. Last year I went to Scotland to do some shows, and I took some pictures to bring back to show you guys how my Scottish trip went. So I want to show you guys my Scottish photojournal, if that's all right with you guys. Chris, can you cue up the first shot, please? So here's Scotland. It's beautiful scenery. As you can tell, you know, it's all really green stuff, so it's really beautiful, but the people look a bit weird in Scotland. And I saw a bunch of like celebrity lookalikes when I was walking around. Like, next slide, please, Chris. See, I saw a lot of people who looked like Michael Chiklis, the guy who played The Thing. Saw like at least 40 dudes who looked like this next one, like 1996 Drew Carey. And the next one, I saw a bunch of people who looked like fucking Popeye. And next slide, all women though. They were all women, all women. The Scottish, I'm not an attractive lot. Give me the next slide, please, Chris. I was there for the Edinburgh Fringe Fest, so everyone had their posters up around town, and these fucking I guess United Kingdomites have the worst hair. They spend more time working on their hair than their jokes, for sure. So, Chris, where's this next guy? Look at how awful that is. Look at this next one, too. Look at that bullshit haircut. And this fourth guy was the worst. His hair was every other one of the dude's haircut was his hair. It covers his name on the poster. Next slide, please, Chris. So, I love going to the museums in every town that I'm in, you know. Love checking out the museums, get my learn on, you know. That, you know, like most museums have these taxidermied animals like that, so they had a bunch of those. But I was surprised to see the weird Scottish animals they had. They're like this next fish here. Look at that weird looking fish. I checked the name, it's the Eugene Levy fish. Next slide. See, look at that. Same fucking guy. Next slide, please, Chris. And I learned a lot about animals. I learned a lot. They had this one section. It was how animals had the biggest whatever. Like I learned that this elephant was the biggest land mammal. This next one, I learned that the giant squid has the biggest eyeball. And this next one, I learned that this sea shrimp was the biggest queer. What a gay shrimp, said the guy who was drinking a bubble tea on stage earlier. Okay, next slide, please, Chris. And okay, this is fucked up, man. Like I didn't touch this up. They had so many animals fucking, just like this crazy animal sex going on in this museum, and you'll see for yourselves that is like cats going doggy style, ironically. Next slide, please, Chris. This next one was, look, that's how sharks fuck, apparently. They're doing this old thing. They go, woo. Next slide, please. Sparrows felching. What the fuck is that? I'm at a museum. I have to look at sparrows sucking jizz out of each other's ass. What the fuck is this? This next one was really weird. It was animal pedophilia. Look at that. Dolphin felching baby dolphin. Next slide, please, Chris. And there's 2 gorillas, 1 pup. I saw that. I was in the museum. 2 gorillas, 1 pup. Next slide, Chris. And that's a wallaby giving a fur seal a dirty Sanchez right there. That's shit on a seal face, sir. Next slide, please, Chris. All right. You guys remember Dolly the sheep, the cloned sheep? Well, Dolly was a Scottish sheep, right? There were Scottish scientists that pulled that off. And it was weird because they had the Dolly in there in that case, but then inexplicably, they put like little fake sheep turds inside with it. I think the next one's, is it a close-up next one? Yeah, look at that. In the museum, they like made little fake sheep poo to really get you involved, I don't know, emotionally. And I thought that was going to be the only time I would see something like that in the museum. But it turns out that I went to another section. They had, next slide, a wax statue of Sean Connery beside one of his turds. That's some digested haggis. Bad Sean Connery, where am I? And this next one was weird, was Courtney Love having crack diarrhea. Couldn't explain that one. Next slide, please, Chris. Okay, this was cool. This was in like the human civilization section. It turns out some cultures in, I believe, West Africa, what they do is when they die, they get a coffin made that represents something they wish they could have had in their life, in their real life. You know, so this guy who had died, he got his coffin done up like a Mercedes-Benz, I think that was, and that made me think I should do that too. So I went out, got my coffin ordered, and I got a coffin shaped like, next slide, name brand ketchup. Fucking one day, my ketchup won't have a yellow label on it. Next slide, please, Chris. Okay, this was cool. This was also apparently the first ever sanctioned boxing fight took place in Scotland, and it said that that was the gloves that they used. But it turns out only one of those is the glove they used in the first ever boxing fight. The other one is a present-day Polish tampon. They're very poor. Next slide, please, Chris. This is the most culturally... Look at this thing. That's a white tiger I saw in a window of like a dollar store wearing a weird racist native headdress. Two mythical beasts, the white tiger and the native, combined into one, and that was the most culturally fucked up thing I'd ever laid eyes on until, next slide, I saw Mark Anthony eating a shawarma in a synagogue. And that's the end of that. That's my Scottish photojournal, guys. Is that fun? All right, thanks, guys. Thank you. All right, folks, going to bring up our first act of the night. Like I said, really fun.